now moving on, our next presentation is being made remotely. So let's hope the technology works. It's called From Workplace to Networkplace, delivered by Key Portilla Kawamura. He is the co-founder of Studio Banana, and he'll talk about a bunch of interstitial spaces that come between the home and the office and how that ecosystem should be consciously designed and used. So handing over to Key.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Key Kawamura. I'm co-founding partner at Studio Banana. It is a great pleasure to be part of the Workplace Trends Conference to discuss this fascinating subject of the new world of work. Unfortunately, I cannot be there together with you in London today. I'm based in Switzerland, even though we do have an office in the UK, but COVID travel restrictions have made it really complicated for me to be there today for a day with you. So I'm participating virtually. The title we have chosen for our conference is From Workplace to Networkplace. And this is a subject that's very dear to us at Studio Banana. Studio Banana is a design agency focused on design-driven transformation. We help organizations in processes of change. And we believe that the work environment and the work culture has a huge impact on facilitating transformation processes. For a long time, we have been designing work environments and work cultures that help people convene, come together, create a sense of community, make sense out of a purpose, a vision, and a mission of an organization. In other words, spaces, places that act as catalysts of new dynamics in the workplace that help roll out new strategies, new visions, and help transform organizations from inside out. And today we will be presenting to you through a number of reflections this subject that we believe strongly in, which is how workplaces are becoming network places. And we believe it's very much aligned with the subject of the new world of work. Networks. What are networks? If we look at the definition in the dictionary, a network is a group of systems or system of interconnected people or things. But it can also be a verb, to network, to interact with others, to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. I think just by reading these two definitions, we can already start making sense of why the future of workplaces is to become network places. I'm really fascinated by networks, from hydrological systems and webs, how water from the top of mountains comes together through rivers, making bigger rivers. And I really see a big parallel between this and how information travels in an organization, which is something that we frequently map when we're working with clients, understanding how does information travel, who connects to who are the information gatekeepers, because it often reveals an unforeseen, unexpected portrait of an organization, which is not normally an echo of the organigram or the hierarchy of an organization. However, it's something extremely important to identify how information and knowledge travels through an organization. So networks are something that are fascinating to us. Now, there are other types of organizations beyond work or companies that have a lot of experience on networking and creating networked experience. Organizations that have been around for much longer than the companies or corporations, from which we can learn a lot because they are resilient and they have demonstrated a great ability to adapt over the years. So let's look at some of these organizations from which I believe we can learn a lot. One of them is religion. For instance, Christianism. There are central locations where this spirituality of religion can be experienced, like places such as abbeys and cathedrals, magnificent buildings where we see the whole fervor, we feel the whole fervor and connection to God. But religious organizations have been very smart in networking themselves and also allowing people who are in dispersed locations who cannot go directly to the church, to the cathedral, to experience that connection with God, for instance, by building chapels in remote locations. And also allowing the users, if you want, people who are part of this religious system, to connect to God, not even being in a physical environment, in a distributed way, for instance, through beads. Another example is the farm-to-fork ecosystem. So how food travels. There are central locations, which are farms where, well, traditionally one used to produce and sell food. But there's also a network system that enables that food to travel and get closer to the consumers. And as we all know, there's also something called e-commerce that allows us, from a distributed perspective and location, to access that network and to get all the benefits of that food system on our doorstep. Also, sports organizations like football clubs have been very smart in creating this mythology around stadiums. And being in a stadium is where you feel very connected to your sports idols, the team on the field. But you can also experience that from home, from the comfort of your couch, through television. And also there are distributed systems that allow people, especially kids, to connect at a very emotional level with their idols through sticker cards and so on. Now let's look at the workplace. How has the workplace embraced, to some degree or not, these principles? Central locations. I think there's no question. The offices, the corporate head offices, the headquarters, the temples of corporate culture. These are the central locations of this system. Distributed. I think that there's no question nowadays, after 1.5 years of extreme home office experience, that this is possible and that we can distribute work remote locations. But the question remains, has the workplace been networked, and have we mastered that in-between layer of the networked workplace? In other words, the networkplace. The thing is, the last 18 months, we have lived or gone from one extreme to another, somehow from the model on the left, where people were living wherever they were living and flocking every morning, 9 to 5, to a central work location, wherever it was placed, to a model where somehow someone put some repellent around the central head office, and we're all working from our home offices. And somehow I think that this has been okay for the last 18 months. It's been sort of emergency situation, but this is a bit of a fallacy. I think that it would be a missed opportunity if out of this pandemic, what we end up with are these only two opposed systems, the head office or the home office. We've been for a long time preaching for the 50 shades of gray that lie in between the head office and the home office. For instance, corporate satellite locations, something that we have been working with some of our clients to develop. Some of our very progressive clients who have understood that there's somewhere in between the head office and the home office that has to be explored. For instance, corporate satellites or corporate co-working spaces, serviced hot desking, or maybe more exciting locations like third spaces or neighbor hubs. That's something that we've been developing, a concept we've been developing with one of our clients, creating co-working spaces in neighborhoods that can be used by the people living in that neighborhood as their home office, with all the comfort of a properly equipped work environment and with all the comfort of being close to your home, as well as office, which for those who don't know, it's a whole movement very active in the north of Europe, excuse me, whereby colleagues from the same company, they work at home, but in the home of someone, and some of their colleagues come to that location, and they do a bit of movement around the week. Very exciting, new models emerging, and I believe that there's something very rich to be explored here. And that is what creates a real network of work environments. So we believe that the future is much more complex, much more messy. It's no longer just the head office and the home office. There are all these other locations which need to be navigated. And of course, the users should not get confused. And it's going to be much more challenging for facility managers, for HR managers, for leaders to live, to work, to create comfort, to create confidence for the people working in a company to operate in this system. But we believe it is the future. So we better act and understand what are the challenges and what are the opportunities that lie within. As I said, there are challenges, many. Cybersecurity, technical debt, management, leadership. Our brains have not been wired. Our management training has not been done in such a way that we have an innate remote leadership skill in many of us. Confidentiality, obviously, is another issue, or employee fatigue, loss of direction, not knowing where are my colleagues, who do I connect to, the lack of sociability, also the lack of serendipity of being in so many different locations, as well as the real estate costs. So all these are challenges that we acknowledge that can be tackled. Essentially, there's something that's really important, and it's down to a human aspect. There are technical layers to these challenges. There are real estate layers to these challenges. But deep down, it's about behavior. And it's about how we can help our organization develop behaviors that have not been there in the past. So is there an antidote to this? Well, there's no silver bullet, but a model that we bring into our clients is this one here, what we call the culture pyramid. Culture cannot be designed in an organization. Culture can evolve, obviously, and it needs to be worked at different levels. From the bottom, conditions. So we can enable the evolution of a culture by introducing new tools, digital tools, new organizational forms, also creating new work environments, and also policies such as transparency. Also by role modeling behaviors, and that's a really important responsibility of the leadership team in companies, is how do we role model desired behaviors. If we would like people to be more mobile or working in a more hybrid way, the leadership team obviously needs to be at the forefront of that transformation. And that ultimately leads to creating new attitudes which connect to the mission and the values of an organization. So all of this is what we call culture. Culture cannot be just turned upside down. It's not a button. It's something that's multifaceted. So we believe that by working on these three different layers, we can enact a transformation and an evolution in the culture of an organization that will help us navigate this complex new world of work. I come back to the definition of a network, a group or system of interconnected people or places, especially here. And a question that we get asked very often lately is, well, is there a future for the head office? Does it make sense to have a head office, a headquarter, this, as I mentioned earlier, these corporate temples? Well, we believe yes, the answer is yes. However, it's not the role we have been giving it for decades. It's not the place where you expect people to come and work 9 to 5. I think that's by now an evidence. The question is, what is the role of the head office? And here I dare share with you some hypotheses that we are already testing actually with some of our very open-minded clients. The first one is to understand the workplace as a flagship, a place where you can really experience, have an immersive experience of the values, of the products, of the services that your organization is bringing to the market, be it for your employees, be it for your partners or for your customers. The second one is the workplace as a marketplace, as a place where you can trade information, trade knowledge, where you come to exchange. It's a fast pace. It's all about trading. The third one is the workplace as a school of skills, a place where you come to upgrade and update yourself. It's almost a place where you can better yourself. And the last one is the workplace as a recharging station. It's a place where you come to re-engage, re-motivate, reload your batteries, as opposed to the previous model where you came to work to unload your batteries, deplete your batteries. We believe that in the future, you will come to the workplace to recharge your sense of belonging, your motivation, sense-making. So on that note, I finished this presentation, and we start the Q&A, which is really what I'm very much looking forward to. So the floor is yours, and please do write me whenever you want. I'm always open to strike a conversation. Thank you very much, and see you now for Q&A.
Can you hear us, Kay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. Excellent. Any questions for Kay? So I'll repeat the question, Key, so all the online audiences get it. Do you think the fragmentation of the office also will fragment the culture moving forward? Is that a key risk?
Thank you very much for the question. Indeed, it's something that we feel we hear increasingly from organizations we work with, who have, in some cases, they're more than 100 years old. They have developed certain identity over the years, and suddenly this is disrupted because they don't have this glue that the physical workplace provided. And that's where I think the cultural pyramid model makes so much sense, because a culture cannot be only dependent on a physical location. I mentioned earlier the example of religion and religious networks. They don't rely only on the chapels and the beads. There's obviously evangelists. There's obviously people who believe. They're ambassadors of that brand. And I think that's so important nowadays to develop that identity, that connection to the purpose of an organization among the people who belong to it. I think that is the best antidote to overcome that fear of losing, of dispersing, of fragmenting a culture. We do see, and this I find personally a pity, the sense of fright, folding back to old models. There's so much that is unknown, uncertain nowadays, that the best way to preserve our culture is to bring everyone back, rally the troops, everyone back to the office, so that we don't lose who we are. I think that would be a terrible mistake or as I said earlier, a missed opportunity not to use this once in a generation chance to evolve to a more decentralized, distributed way of understanding culture. I think we really should not be so dependent on the physical glue. These are, I think, strong words coming from someone who's an architect. I've been trained to create environments, physical environments, but I believe that ultimately what counts, and here I connect to what Nigel was saying earlier, are the user needs and the organizational needs, not the architect's needs. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it's great, thank you. It sounds like we've got an imperfect model and we're moving to one that might be slightly less imperfect. We're never going to get 100%, are we?
We like saying we're constantly in beta mode. So we're always evolving, we're always improving, we're always imperfect.
Excellent. Thank you, Key. Thanks for the great question. Any other questions we have? I'll ask you one, Key. The data is showing declining trend in willingness to work away from the office, be it at home or a third place, since the pandemic began. It was pretty much high up, and then it's been going down. Do you think us animals are ready for the network place?
Do I believe
us? Nigel was talking to us as where we're living in a human zoo. Us people, us animals who are used to the workplace. Do you think we're ready for a network place or?
I think so, and I think that these other models demonstrate that they are resilient models. They have thousands of years in some cases. We can be part of an organization, a brand, an identity, be it a soccer, football club, or a religion, or other types of organizations, or even clubs, in a remote, distributed, and networked way. As I said, I think that what's really important is not to make it only dependent on the physical location. Here I use the example. My kids, they love football. They have their favorite football teams. They've never been to the stadiums of to the stadium of that team. They still have a connection. There are T-shirts, there are Panini cards, sticker cards. There are all these things that allow them to connect. There are, all, of course, colleagues who also like those teams. There are colleagues who like rival teams. So that creates an intangible touch point to connect to that, well, in this case, football club. And I think that we are really scratching the surface on the potential of this for organizations, for companies, and for workplaces. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
So I think I am positive, I am optimistic about this.
Excellent. Thank you, Key. Are you trialing some of these principles yourselves?
Yes, so we like walking the talk. We like also testing our own medicine before we prescribe it to anyone else. That is something that we've taken this last 18 months as a massive opportunity for our organization to transform the way we work, the way we recruit, in where we recruit, in how we can attract talent. We have 4 offices, one in the UK, 2 in Switzerland, 1 in Spain. And our previous mindset was, well, we've got a radius of maybe 20 kilometers around our offices where we can attract talent. That's extremely limiting if you think about how much talent there is out there in the world. So we've decided, and this is something that we are already putting in practice, to become liquid as a team and to become much more networked. It is not without challenges, of course, connecting to the first question. How do we transmit, how do we live that culture when our team is dispersed, when our team is working not just remotely from home, but remotely maybe from other cities or from other countries. That's where hybrid models, hybrid frameworks are so important. We meet together. When we meet together, we make sure it's memorable. We make sure it's meaningful. We don't meet just to be together 9 to 5, sitting in front of a screen. We meet together to accelerate decision-making, to strategize, to become extremely creative, to fuel each other. And then we fall back to our dispersed locations in a networked way. We get on with our tasks. And then maybe a few weeks later, we meet again in a very intense way. So we still, we don't pretend that this is a silver bullet that works for everyone, but certainly we are experimenting with it. We are extracting lessons from that we are, of course, afterwards proposing to our customers.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Key, for your presentation. It's been a real eye-opener. And virtually being here, it's worked, so we are very happy.
First of all, as I said at the beginning of the talk, I'm very sorry that I cannot be in London. It's just physically very, very complicated. I'm in Switzerland. I promise next time I will be there. I got very jealous when Nigel started to talk about his book, so I pulled out here which of course is not up for grabs at the exit. But if anyone is interested, excuse me, it's called Work Out of the Box, and it goes through a series of conversations, discussions around 13 principles that we believe in. It's a workplace manifesto. There's here a conversation with Jeremy Myerson, who I believe is in the room. I think I saw him somewhere in a corner in the camera. So there's a lot of things yet to discuss, to open, to trigger conversations. If anyone is interested, please do write me a message. My email, I will repeat it because it's no longer on screen. It's KEY, like a key, at studiobanana.com. And I'll be happy to start a conversation with any one of you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Key. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.